Chapter 14, Brain Jam. There's a travel poster of Italy in my room at home, right over my bed. You don't have to see it to know what's on it. There's a Colosseum, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and that pink place in Venice with all the pigeons. You know of it if you saw it. Like I've said, I've always dreamed of going to these places and seeing all these things. But I never expected to see the Tower of Pisa spinning end over end like a giant tomahawk heading straight for me. Do something, shouted Quinn. I looked down the spaceship's complex computer interface. No mouse, no keypad. I didn't know what to do, but the second I moved my hand close to the interface, a steering column grew up from the screen into my hand. Cool, said Quinn, more relieved than impressed. My fingers clasped with the control stick. I pulled to the right, an engine fired, and our little space pod veered right, narrowly missing the tumbling stone tower. Now? With the tower gone, I could see that the space around us was more than just a nebula. It was a debris field, but this was not exactly your typical space debris. As we shot forward, unable to slow down, the Eiffel Tower tumbled by, cutting diagonally across our path. Its movement eerily graceful, Easter Island heads floated by, their mysterious faces seeming to grin mockingly in the strange lavender light. I looked beyond the debris to the purple nebula around us. Something struck me about the way the electrical impulses shot down the web of snaking, intertwining ropes. It was familiar, like something I learned in biology. And suddenly, I knew what this place was supposed to be. I don't think we're in space, I told Quinn. Then where are we? I sighed. We're inside my head. Oh. Quinn didn't look surprised. Why do you have all this crap floating around in your head? If I knew, it wouldn't be there. I was sure if we were ricocheted around long enough, we'd find every thought I'd ever had, transmuted into solid rock form. Mental toe jam. This place was what Cassandra saw when she looked at me. I go places sometimes. Yeah, well, I never thought I'd find myself here. I saw this movie once, Quinn said. A bunch of scientists got shrunk and injected into a guy's blood. They had to crawl out over his eyeball. I don't think it'll be that easy. A farmhouse tumbled past, colored in sepia tones. A young girl who looked suspiciously like Judy Garland peered out of the window, astonished. I turned to Quinn. If you say, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, I'll smack you. Watch out! I pulled up, but not fast enough, and we were clipped by Big Ben, the clock that usually chimes out over London, but was now revolving in front of us like a pinwheel. The impact sent us spinning, knocking Quinn out of his chair. He bounced weightlessly around the cabin. What bothered me even more than being hit, though, was what I saw in Big Ben's massive clock face. Its hands read 10 minutes to 6. 10 minutes till dawn. 10 minutes to beat this ride, or it was all over. I pushed and tugged on the control stick, which fired retros and boosters until I'd straightened us out. I had no idea what direction we faced, but then every direction was the same in this place. There was no up or down, no left or right. Can't you drive safe? Quinn pulled himself back down into a seat and struggled with a seatbelt harness that looked like it was meant for a creature with 3 arms. We smashed into a graffiti-covered subway car, but it sustained most of the damage from the collision, spinning away from us to reveal another spaceship behind it, which jetted out like a cop car at a speed trap. It was sleek and bronze, with curves that were almost feminine, and it took off after us, shooting some sort of multicolored laser weapon. My brain didn't have to fire too many synaptic sparks to figure out who piloted that ship. The blast tore a hole in our left wing, a hole that sizzled with every color of the spectrum. It's an aurora refractive laser cannon, said Quinn, straight out of my Steroid Avenger comic books. Cassandra didn't try to contact us. I suppose she had nothing left to say to me beyond the constant blast from her weapon. Another blast caught our right flank, jolting us badly, but we held together. Check the controls, I told Quinn. If she has an aurora refractive whatever, then maybe we have one too. He scanned the unreadable control panel, then did a quick eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and touched one of the virtual buttons. A blast shield came down over the dome, completely shutting out our view. We were flying blind. Oops. He quickly hit the button again, and the blast shield lifted to reveal something huge, smooth, and silver filling our entire view. Quinn got the big picture before I did. The Hindenburg! I pulled up, feeling the G-forces pressing up me deep into my seat. We came within inches of hitting the giant airship. Why, of all things, is the Hindenburg here? I searched my memory, but couldn't find a reason for that to be my own personal brain jam. It's on my Led Zepp poster, Quinn said. In case you haven't noticed, this is my ride too. Now Quinn randomly hit buttons on the control panel, looking for weapons. Lights came on and off, the chairs reclined. Finally, a multicolored laser blast shot out of the nose of our ship and blew Jefferson's face from Mount Rushmore. Got it! Great. Now figure out how to aim it. He looked at me like I'd asked him to perform open heart surgery. Never mind, just blow up stuff in our way. I can do that. He concentrated all his attention on the debris field, but his finger paused above the button. I pulled sharply to the right, trying to dodge Cassandra's blast, but she scored a direct hit. Part of our dome bubbled and singed, but it didn't rupture. She knows me, I thought. She knows every move I'll make and every direction I'll turn. I was too predictable. I was going to pilot us through this. If I was going to pilot us through this, I had to fight every natural tendency I had. To outsmart Cassandra, I needed to become a master of wild, unpredictable behavior, which meant, Quinn, I need your help. You got a plan? My plan is to not have a plan. That's why I need your help. You want me to fly then? But that wouldn't work either. Cassandra would know right away. She'd be able to predict Quinn's moves as well as mine. The only way to outsmart her was to outsmart ourselves, so I told Quinn, we have to somehow do it together. I scanned the sky ahead of us. What are you looking for? Something big to hide behind? No, said Quinn. Look for something small. We can knock it into her path. What if we knock something big into her path? If it's too big, we would blow up when we hit it. I smiled. She wouldn't expect that we'd risk that. We came around to see the Arc de Triomphe floating in our path in a slow-off center revolution. I turned toward it. We're crazy, you know, said Quinn. I had to agree. And you know, it felt good. We smashed into the huge stone arch, sending it spinning away from us. It crushed our nose flat, but it also spun right into Cassandra's ship, which tumbled wildly off course. Her ship looked almost as dented as ours. In a few moments, she had her vehicle under control again, but for once, we were on the offensive. Blow it out of the sky, Quinn said. That was my first instinct too, but it would be too obvious. She'd have some sort of shield against a direct attack. Instead, I singled out the nearest obstacle, the Statue of Liberty. Perhaps Miss Liberty would buy our freedom. Quinn fired. Miss Liberty detonated, sending a rain of green coppered shrapnel into Cassandra's path. She hit the shrapnel field, and one of her engines began to smoke. I've got an idea, said Quinn. Bring us around and head back for the Hindenburg, but don't make it obvious. Quinn had trusted me, so now I put my trust in him. I maneuvered a wide arc, bobbing in and out of debris, making it appear that I was just trying to evade Cassandra's blast. The airship was the longest piece of debris in this brain junkyard, and it wasn't hard to find again. Fly like we're going around it, said Quinn, like we're going to hide behind it. We'll let her think she's catching up to us, and I didn't have to say the rest because we both knew. Quinn and I were connected now, like we were when we were younger, when our differences didn't pull us apart, but made us complete. Quinn looked behind us, keeping his eyes on Cassandra, keeping his eyes on her ship, letting me know her position second by second. We bobbed and wove together to the behemoth of an airship. Its taut silver fabric, a pale lavender reflecting the sparkling violet heavens. As she rounded its belly, Cassandra was right on our tail. Then suddenly, I pulled up, tearing from the fabric of the airship, smashing through its support girders. The hydrogen gas ignited, and in an instant flames tried to engulf us. But then we came through the other side. Cassandra's ship got caught right in the heart of the blast. I brought us around to watch the flames consume the Hindenburg. As the airship burned down to its aluminum skeleton, Cassandra's crippled ship fell away from the wreckage, charred and smoking. Quinn felt his hand near the weapons control. She could be faking. So we watched. We saw an engine try to fire, then go dark. She was completely disabled, and although I'm sure she knew her way out of this ride, she could no longer attack us. Should have been enough, but it wasn't. Besting her was not enough. We had to beat her. And that meant getting out of the ride. Took us away from the flaming ruins of the airship and sped toward open space. Before us, a series of smaller objects dotted the sparking sky. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. It took a moment for me to realize what they were, and when I did, my heart sank. It was a minefield of sorts. Are those cars? Quinn asked. I nodded. Not just any old cars, they're Pintos, every last one of them. It was a field of floating automobiles that stretched as far as the eye could see. It was so dense that you couldn't even see beyond it. How hard do you have to ram a Pinto to make it blow up? Quinn asked. I'm sure that here they blow up on impact. And how much you want to bet the only way out is on the other side? I scanned the minefield, then turned to Quinn. Okay, what would you do? I tried to weave through them, and I tried to go around them. I knew neither strategy would work. Going around would take too long, and weaving through, well, I wasn't that good of a pilot. I took a deep breath and prepared myself for a third choice. Close the blast shield. What? We won't be able to see. Exactly. What are you going to do? Fly by braille? Kind of. Should I trust you? Probably not. But he did anyway. He lowered the blast shield, so we approached the field. I never thought you'd want to go out like this, he said. I don't intend to. I knew these words well enough now to know that their strength came from our weaknesses. The park tapped into our longings, our fears, our habits, and our choices. This minefield had been perfectly strategically placed to cause us most damage if Quinn and I followed our normal patterns of behavior when we encountered it. So much of my life has been under tight control. So much of Quinn's life has been wild insanity. What we needed now was both. A directed burst of controlled insanity. I gunned the engine, then took my head off the controls, letting the ship fly a blind beeline through the minefield. We hit the first Pinto. It dented our hull. I heard the car blow up, but we were moving so fast it blew up behind us. Another one hit our underbelly, jarring me through the seat of my pants, but again, it exploded behind us. Impact after impact, explosion after explosion. Smoke clouded the cabin from a fire in the engines. The ship's not going to last much longer, Quinn said. Doesn't have to. It's just got to last a few more seconds. One more mine bashed in our entire left side, but the hull held its integrity. And I closed my eyes, waiting for the next one, the one that would do us in. It never came. Nothing more hit us. The only sounds now were the crackling of flames at the back of the cabin and the sizzling of frying technology. Quinn looked at me, then opened the blast shield. It labored open to reveal a new sight dead ahead. The minefield and all of its debris were behind us. A spiral pattern of stars slowly revolved in front of us. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Is that a galaxy? Asked Quinn. I smiled. It looks like a turnstile to me. Our engines were gone. Our ship was burning up. But the cosmic turnstile pulled us in faster and faster toward its center. Acceleration pressed me back against the chair. Then I did something I'd never done before. I put my hands up in the air, way up like you're supposed to do on the fastest, wildest roller coasters. I looked at Quinn and grinned. He nodded and put his hands up in the air as well, as we shot through the center of the swirling turnstile galaxy. One last thrill for both of us to share, an absolute defiance of the ride. I think that was the moment I really found my brother.